Welcome to the Inspection Empire Builder podcast. On this episode, we're talking about a growth journey, going from highs to lows and back up to highs again. You don't want to miss this episode. And welcome to the show. I'm so glad you're here today. Today we're hanging out with Jaymie. How are you doing?
I'm so good. Thank you, Matt. I love being here with you. You're so wonderful to talk to. It's a good platform.
Oh, thanks. You're great to talk to too. We always have a good energy and it always clicks and we always have good conversations too. And I love that just because we have a similar mindset about the way we approach life and business. And so, yeah, I'm really glad to have you on the show. And so for those of you people that maybe don't know you, let me know, tell me where did you start in home inspections? I know you moved, you had an up, you kind of had a down, and now you're back up again. I know this about you, but maybe our audience doesn't. So tell me, give me the quick little background.
Matt, I think you just described every home inspector ever.
This is true.
So I started as a licensed home inspector in New Orleans 16 years ago. So it was January of 2010. And I was an employee of a company that was the 10th home inspector for this particular firm. And my husband and I had lived down there for a couple of years. And I had no idea what a home inspector even was, really. In 2010, it was like before Mike Holmes was on HGTV, And I thought home inspectors were just like retired builders with clipboards going around and educating people about their house and, kind of busting holes in walls to be able to see what's behind there. I had no idea it was like a thorough educational process to just empower someone with information. I looked at it completely different. So when I started talking with someone about, even coming onto the firm, I was really excited to hear it was more about the communication of the house than it was the technical part. Yeah, we had to know about that. But 51% of inspection is being able to relay that information in a tactful, yes, and also tangible way to another human to where they just feel like they've got really good education. So I was sold on that process. And I was an employee of this company for about 3 years. And I was like, listen, y'all, I want to open my own home inspection company, but I want to go home to Indiana. I was born and raised in South Bend, Indiana. So I was a Midwest girl at heart. My husband and I were itching to get back close to our families because they raised us pretty well and we wanted to start our family. So we're like, let's raise our kids around the people that raised us really well. So we moved back to Indiana and I opened my own home inspection company. And I loved the idea of starting a business from the ground up.
Yep.
And we had done that a few times in New Orleans. We owned a photo booth company that we then sold to Indiana. My husband owned a property management company. So we loved the idea of entrepreneurship for our actual full-time gig. And I loved home inspection. So it was a natural move when we went to Indiana was that I started my own home inspection company. And then we realized 2 or 3 years into that, I really like owning this business and I understand how to get home inspections. I understand the relationships that I had to build. Still had no idea how to budget or pay the bills properly or how to properly get the right insurance or I was just a really right. And I think that's what happens with most home inspectors. They're a really good home inspector and then all of a sudden they have this business and they're like, well, no one taught me how to train and no one taught me about insurance and I actually have to save to pay for things that go wrong. There's no conversation in that.
Right. And taxes are coming, right? You got to have money for that.
That's a thing. Yeah. Oh, I need a bookkeeper. That's not I just have my checkbook and I reconcile it. That's very different. So
very different, right? Your personal, managing personal finances versus business finances, right?
Yeah, I didn't know the right questions to ask. So here I am, this, solo home inspector and now business owner that I didn't, you own your own business, but you don't know all the things in it. And I didn't know that other people felt like I felt. I just thought, well, I'll figure it out because that's just kind of how we think. I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Then we got pretty bored not bored. We were very blessed with this business in Indiana. We did, I say we, because what spouse is not with you on the journey, right? So we did really well with this business. And I was like, you know what? I love living in this town. I love living like where I grew up. I kind of rekindled some friendships that I had now that I'm an adult, so that was really nice.
Right.
And also we missed living in a big city. So my husband is from East Detroit, and we were like, well, can we have this business and also start one in Metro Detroit? Because it's a nice big city. It's a bigger population. It's a melting pot of people, and that's what we were used to in New Orleans, and we loved that, being in a melting pot of people. So we ended up after looking into this journey, what would it look like to own a home inspection company in 2 different areas, and we ultimately decided that I would sell my business in Indiana instead of keep both, and then start over in Southeast Michigan. And that's flipping hard. So
yeah, that's really hard.
From the ground up again. Like, this is my second time as an owner again. So I got to skip over all the parts that I didn't do really well. I knew how to hire and train at this point. I knew how to start something from the ground up. I knew where to get the business. And I tried to approach it. I have a guy mowing the lawn, so excuse me.
I think I hear it in the background a little bit. Yeah. But things, life happens. Yeah.
So when I opened this home inspection company in Metro Detroit, I approached it from a business owner standpoint as much as I knew, right?
Right.
And so 2019 comes along, and I am burnt out more than I understood that I could be. I got to this point where I was like, oh, this is what people talk about when they say burnout, or like, oh, this is what anxiety feels like. I think this is what people talk about. And I was like, there's something really big missing. And a friend told me about IEB. And so I was like, oh my gosh, there are hundreds, thousands of people in the same boat I am, and they have like answers for all this stuff. I had no idea. So I gladly like immersed myself and all my tears and self-doubt into the IT community. And that's really where I started to take off, both as a home inspector, as a business owner, and frankly, as a human, because I got permission to like take a step back and figure out who I was. Yeah. So that's my journey.
And I love that. That's so important. And it's funny, like you mentioned burnout, and it's true. Like if you never hit that place personally, you look at other people burning out and you're like, just do it. Like, just get up off your butt and do it. You're like, I don't understand why you can't just get up and go, like it's not that hard, guys. But then when you hit that place yourself, you're like, oh, I get it now. And it's from the outside. Yeah. Everybody, if they've never been in burnout, then, I listened to this leader one time. Exactly. Yeah. Well, I listened to this leader a few years ago. And he was younger, and he was in this room of like maybe 150, 200 leaders in the room. And from the stage, he was like, I don't believe in burnout. And he's like, I don't believe in burnout. I don't think it's real. And he says, and it's just he kind of took it to a place of it kind of almost like judgmental. If you say you're burned out, then you're just, that's a you problem kind of thing. Like you're, I mean, it was really bad. And I remember sitting there thinking like, this guy, he was just, he just hadn't burned out yet. And he had never experienced that, And so, I remember afterwards asking him about it. I was like, hey man, have you ever hit the place of burnout? And he's like, well, it doesn't exist. Like, and I'm like, I kind of smiled and I just said, one day you're going to burn out. And when you hit that place, you'll know. And so it was, maybe 10 or 15 years later, we've been friends for a long time. 10 or 15 years later, he's like, yeah, I understand now. But it's like, but it's easy when you've never hit that wall to throw stones and cast judgment, and so, but then once you hit it, you're like, oh, I get it now, It's like having kids. If you've never had kids, and you like, it's like, well, how could it be that hard? You just and then once you have kids, you're like, oh, like, oh, yeah.
To be honest, I think that was part of it. So when we got to Metro Detroit, this was in 2017, and I'm married, and we have 2 children. I think my daughter was 1 at the time, which means my son was 4, and I was starting.
Oh, they're busy. That's a lot of,
this over again. Yeah.
Wow.
A
Yeah.
new city where I didn't know anybody. My husband grew up here, but we had been gone for 15 years. You don't really know anybody when you go back to your city as a grown up, as you
Right.
do before you go away to college, right? So we didn't really know or have anything. His family didn't live here anymore. They retired, moved up north, like everyone in Metro Detroit does. You retire and move up north. So we had to figure out, okay, what is this adulting that we really want to do? And burnout came quicker than I knew it could, because I was like, oh, I know how to do this. I can just do this again. Yeah, but last time I did it, I was pregnant with my first child. So I just hustled because I had nothing else burning that I had to do. And now I had these two tiny kids that I had to take care of. And I was, between home inspections, like when I eventually got them, still had to stop in the car and pump, like most moms know how to do when they have a tiny baby.
Yep.
And it becomes everything all the time. And yeah, there are women that can be superheroes. And it's like a badge of honor where, yeah, I'm super mom and yeah, I can do it all. But it doesn't mean you have to. There's a big difference between like motivation or like hustle and discipline and focus and clarity. Those are very different things. Like to have hustle and to have clarity are very different things. And the hustle is what got me burnt out, because I just like rinsed and repeated, but so much more came into my life and I didn't allow things to fall out of my life. That's that's where they say burnout is like burning a candle at both ends. And I didn't realize that. But like visually, I didn't realize that I had like I didn't have any candle left, so there was no spark. There was no spark in there.
Wow.
No joy.
Right.
It got sucked up. It all got snuffed out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. And it's when you're picking up too much and you just can't do it all. And we do have a certain capacity. Each person does. And there's some people that have a bigger capacity than me, and I see them and I'm like, congratulations. I love that for you. I don't want to do that,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, that's just not my capacity, and I'm okay with that. And just being happy with where I'm at, and all right. So now you're in Detroit, right? And you've grown this company. So now it's I think it's Elevate. Is that right?
Yeah. Elevate Inspection Group.
Okay. And that
group, because I knew that there was something bigger that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Like yes, home, yes, commercial, yes, like ancillaries. But it was like a service. And I also no longer wanted to be the face of the company.
Yeah.
So when I use the word group, it's all a play on words. Whether people believe you or not is one thing, but at least I got to say it every day to remind me of what I wanted out of it. So when I say group, it also, I hope, told people it's not just Jaymie. There's a group of people here also.
Right.
Like there is a team member that answers the phones, and there are other team members that physically do the inspection. And I eventually got my husband to say yes to come into the business because he knows how to run a business. Like,
right.
It's good. I just never gave him the reins to anything. So I was like, I've got it. So
that's so funny.
Inspection group, because it's a team and we do lots of things that have to do with inspections. And Elevate, actually, I'm really strong in my faith. And one of the things that I knew that I had to do when I changed the name of my company back in 2021, I think, 2021, I was part of the franchise that I was an employee for when I lived in New Orleans. I had another franchise, I started another franchise. And when I knew that I wanted to exit that franchise and rebrand what I had already built, I needed a name that represented what I was feeling at the time. And I was like, it's more than just home inspection. I really want to make this an easy process for other people. I want this concierge customer service kind of thing, almost like customer experience. It was more than just this technical transfer of knowledge. I wanted it to be better or uplifted. So I was thinking of words like empower or ennoble, and talking to a girlfriend of mine, and I was like, I'm praying about this name and I feel like ennoble. And she's like, Jaymie, nobody knows what ennoble means. So
That's true.
Nobody knows. I read it in a book, So he sent me this definition that she had of elevate. And it was this experience will be extraordinary beyond the expectation. And I was like, yes, that's it. This will be beyond the expectation of what a home inspection is. And so
I love it.
Because there's like the play on words architecturally, you know, like you can lift the
yeah.
house. Or like our logo is like a house separating because we're like pulling it apart and looking at all the details.
Oh, that's cool.
I know, right? So
Yeah.
but I also love the word elevate because it's really something that we've done in the industry as great inspection companies, like with IEP.
Yep.
But also in my local market, there's a different posture that my team has when we start the experience for our team and as a home inspection, like for our clients and our agents. It's just the service or like the experience is just beyond what they would expect for
Right.
like scheduling a home inspection and getting their report, and then that's it. Like we want it to feel exceptional. Does that make sense? So the word
Totally does.
It was
Yeah. What do you?
great.
So there was an inspection company here in town that was like trying to create this elevated experience, and they took it to kind of a different kind of place. And I don't know if you do any of these things, but they would show up with a cooler with drinks for everybody. They would show up with popcorn and like throw it in the microwave and make popcorn, and it was like this whole thing that they did, and it was like part of their shtick, you know. And so and I you know, they didn't make it. They're out of business. But they had like this like whole thing that they were doing that was like way above and beyond just like, I'm going to show up, look at your house and give you a report. And they had like snacks and drinks, and it was like this entirely different experience. And I loved the idea. I've never implemented anything like that, but I remember talking to the guy, and he was telling the owner, and he was telling me all this. And I thought, man, that is fascinating. I don't know. Do you guys do anything like that? No.
No, because
they had a red carpet. That's right. They had a red carpet that they literally like they would roll out a red carpet up to the front of the house. Yeah. It was like they had a lot of those little things that they were doing that I can't remember all the stuff now, but it was so much stuff they were doing that was like, this is wild.
I think it's cool. Good for them. I also want to keep a pretty low overhead, so I'm not going to stop at Costco and buy another case of water every day or whatever. Like low overhead. But I could probably have some microwave popcorn in my tool bag, and we got to test the microwave anyway. Might as well give everyone a snack and make it smell good in the house, right?
Right. Well, that's what they would do. We got to test the microwave. The best way to do that is with some popcorn, and like it was like. They had a whole like bit about it. It was like, it was fascinating. I loved it. I loved it. I thought that is so innovative. Like, I'm not going to do that, but that's so innovative. Yeah.
I'm not going to do that, but it really is. No, I think that the thing that we do have in us is how to connect with humans. So when a new home inspector comes onto our team, they've got to have that character. You can't teach charisma. I think that's something you either have or you don't have. Maybe charisma isn't the right word, but this ability to connect with another human and figure out what level you need to connect with them on. Like connecting with the engineer dad is very different than connecting with their daughter, the first time homeowner. And you need to know how to connect with the luxury buyer doctor who might stop by for an hour. You have a very small amount of time to connect with that person, or the investor that's going to stop by with their contractor, and you're just the one going through the house. Like, that's a different kind of human connection. So that's what
very different.
More than microwave popcorn, although that would be a good value add.
Right? Isn't that kind of fun? I agree with you on the connection piece. Yeah, so I hire for people skills because I can teach the technical skills, and so I hire for people skills, and I try to hire for people who can do that, make that shift. I do think those are skills that can be developed. Like, you can develop your charismatic skills and your people skills, but I'm not going to develop that for you. And if you don't already have that passion in you, and I'm not going to teach that. I can teach you how to inspect a house, but I'm not going to teach you how to love and care and connect with people. That's something you got to bring to the table.
Yeah, that's got to be intentional. There's a desire that has to be there in order for that to develop.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. One of the guys that's in training right now, he was a bartender, and he connects with everybody so well. He's actually done a really great thing for even the company culture wise. Like, I'm a huge company culture guy, and I think culture beats everything. And And if you don't have good culture, then you're not going to go anywhere. And so most of the time when companies are struggling, there's a culture issue that needs to be identified and changed. But this guy has done so much for our company culture that I wasn't expecting. And so even during training, like he's like laughing it up with everybody, building friends. Now he's given nicknames to everybody in the business. So everybody has a nickname. And so, one of them his nickname is Squirrely, and so like another one is like Cookies. And I'm like, how, like, and so everybody laughs like, what's up, Cookies? Now everybody's calling each other by their nicknames. And because this guy showed up and he's in training and because of his charisma and his ability with people, he's changed the dynamics in the office and the business to this really amazing. Like we already had great culture, but bringing him in brought another aspect of fun. And we had fun, but man, he brings fun at a whole new level.
Yes, and that's what you want, because what do they say? Monday is when most people have heart attacks because they hate going into work. So like, I don't want that to happen, or Sunday night or whatever. I don't want that to happen to my team. So culture is everything. I want it to be
really
fun.
is.
Like our inspectors, we don't have a brick and mortar. I went from, at one point in our business, I had 5 home inspectors and then me. And that was the year that Brandon, my husband, came into the business to like, all right, Jaymie, we got to straighten some things out here. And then I had 2 people like behind the scenes. And with those 5 home inspectors and me, the only time we got to see each other is if we had to like stop by each other's home inspection or our monthly in-person team meeting. But other than that, we didn't get to really see each other. So our culture was developed over apps that we would constantly like share tips or banter with, or those like little text messages in between, because it wasn't very often that we actually got to create that culture. I know it starts with the leaders and it's 360 leadership and all these terms that are very, very true. But when we don't actually have a brick and mortar to see each other all the time, the culture has to be developed very, very intentionally. So we had to work on it. It was practice. And then in 2022, this whole journey of burnout was like very dark. So like you kind of don't remember it as you look back, right? For me, I was like, oh, wow, there's some toxicity on our team that I've allowed to happen because I wasn't clear on my goals and who I was showing up as every day, not just as a home inspector, but just in my life. So I decided, and I love the word architect because it's an intentional building of. So I decided to take the chaotic life that I felt like I was stuck in and be the architect of my own journey. And I was like, what questions are they that I need to be asking this IEB community that I've immersed myself in? Am I just not asking the right questions? Maybe it's not about my growth strategy. Maybe it's not about maybe it's not about the KPIs or my market share, or like, what if it's more than the systems and processes I have within my company, which were minimal, because I didn't know who I was. So I had to start asking different questions, and it allowed myself to think about like how to get out of this chaos, how to operate my business out of fear, like how to get rid of that and instead be the architect of what it was that I wanted to find. So it's awesome, Matt. As I was prepping to talk with you today, I was like, okay, how can I organize my thoughts? So, unapologetic architect. So that's one of the terms I came up with. So recently, one of the things that I love doing in my company is I love physically doing home inspections. Even after 16 years of being in this industry, I still love doing home inspections. I have zero desire to do 3 or 4 home inspections a day, which led me to a terrible lifestyle.
That's way too much. Yeah,
no,
way too much.
It's actually too many. But for me, I love, it's a very selfish thing. If I could do 1 home inspection 4 days a week, I'm like so in my sweet spot. Because the other thing I love to do is stop in and talk with my guys at their home inspections, or like talk with the clients at my guys' home inspections. There's some things that you learn when you're able to really sit back and say, okay, what is it about my company that I really love, or this industry or my business that I really love? And I think in any job that you're in, you have that opportunity to sit back and say, okay, I love being a bank teller. Why? Well, it's because I love this part and this part.
Yeah.
So if you can focus on those things, not that you don't have to do the hard work or the things that you don't like anymore, but eventually as your company gets bigger, you can delegate those things to other people. And that is a blessing. But until then, you still have to do the hard work and the things that you don't like. But my perfect day is to perhaps do a home inspection and then go to like an event of my choosing, or teach a con ed class of my choosing. Because when I get to choose the people that I surround myself with, it ignites me, Matt. There's something about choosing your environment that is just igniting. And I can be an extrovert, but at the end of the day, I'm totally an introvert. Like, I'm done peopling. So if I'm going to people, I'm going to choose the people I'm going to people around. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So an event that I went to like this month, I think, was called it's Level Up. It's a women's real estate focused event that happens here every year. It's a pretty phenomenal event. And this year's theme was unapologetically ambitious. And that really rung to me, because it's like I'm rounding up a season in my life where, one, I'm 47 and there's certain things that I just don't care about some people's opinions anymore. Like, I let things just kind of fluff off a lot easier than I did in the past. Yeah. And I'm like, this is my only life, and I'm probably getting close to halfway through it. So I gotta be really careful what opinions I care about. So it's so freeing, like letting things go, right? And then I also loved the theme unapologetically ambitious, because I thought, yeah, I'm a home inspector, but there's so many other things that I want to do, whether it be in this industry or outside of this industry. And who am I to apologize for how awesome God made me?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Being able to lean into that was so awesome for me. So one of the things I did at this particular event, I got to wear my marketing hat for my company.
Yep.
And I don't do growth people anymore. I enjoy this part of my business. So I'm that growth person. I cut my team in half a couple years ago and got rid of the toxicity. I had one inspector who was a great home. Well, now that I look back, he was a mediocre home inspector, but he embezzled, so he was out. I had one home inspector who actually was a really good home inspector, but he made some personal choices that ended up affecting our company, and it was toxic to the culture of our team. So we said, he's out. Yep. Another home inspector who was one of our best friends, and he was like, you guys, this is getting really hard on me and my body. Like, I just need to go get a different job. And we're like, all right, fine.
Yep.
So, but it ended up being a great place to really redevelop our culture, because I was figuring out what I even wanted. So this like unapologetic journey is so awesome, because then it gives our team this permission to like, do our job really well, but also figure out who you are. Like, what do you want? So I started, I started thinking about like this event, and I didn't just want to sit behind a table. And that's what we do when we sponsor events in home inspection, right? We go in.
Right.
We got our big old sign behind us. And I haven't bought a sign in years, because I'm like boycotting the sign, right?
Yeah. No more signs.
So I go into my AI, who knows me very well and knows like this, who am I journey that I'm on,
Yep.
And it's like, well, if you're going to unapologetically ambitious event and you hate sitting behind a booth because you'd rather be out there, put a sign up at your booth with your logo at the top, because elevate is an intentional word. And so the verbiage I had on my sign, oh Matt, it was so cool. I should put that sign in front of me so I could read it. But it was like, I'm Jaymie and I'm sponsoring this event, but instead of sitting behind the booth, leaders lead with unapologetic ambition, not behind the table, but out with you. So look for the girl with the loud laugh and the really great hug, because she's here at this company or something like that. And I was like,
I love that. Yeah.
So that's what I had. I still had this booth because I wanted to honor my sponsorship for this really awesome event. But I also knew that I would best serve me as a human and my team if I showed up as who I am, which is the one that just kind of looks around and finds the people that I actually want to talk with and lights up. Like I was like lit up that day. And it's because I decided, not to sit behind my table at an event called Unapologetically Ambitious. So it was cool. I'm finding ways to give myself permission to like stand up and have this posture, and teach my team that, hey, when we do this intentionally, our company happens to grow. Like we're 40% over where we were last year at this time. And that's pretty stinking awesome. And it's because I had this like mental shift and this posture shift. That's cool.
Yeah. No, that is really cool. I do think like every person has like a rebirth moment in their life. And some people will say, oh, it's a midlife crisis. And I don't think it's a crisis. I think it's a reshifting and it's a refocusing and it's a realization of like, I'm basically being reborn in like, okay, I've been doing things one way and I'm like, this isn't working for me, but you kind of don't know who you are until you start doing this process. And then in that process, when you really discover who you are and what you're about, it can be just a wonderful. It's frustrating, I think, in the middle, but on the other side of it, it's like, man, I'm so much more confident in who I am and what I'm about, and that allows you to be better at everything that you do and build better culture, and I think authenticity is super important. And you don't know who you are sometimes, and it's okay to be able to reset, and maybe you have to do it a few times in your life where you get kind of a reset moment and kind of allow yourself that opportunity. I realized in my business the same thing. Like I love doing the growth activities. Like that's what I like to do. And so I don't do inspections anymore. I haven't done them now in a few years. I do miss them. I do miss going out and doing them from time to time. And although I think now it's been a few years. So I think now if I went back into the field and did one, I don't know, I'd be pretty slow. I would get it done, and I know what I'm looking at and I could do a good job, but I would be pretty slow. And so, so the inspection side of it, I don't do that anymore. And then now I'm building out teams for operations and everything else, but I still love doing the growth activities. In fact, I have an event tomorrow and same thing. Like I don't want to sit behind the booth, but I have my tent, I have all the branded stuff. So I'll set up my tent. I'll throw some merch out on the table. And then I'll just wander and, I might grab another employee or two and ask if they want to go hang out and, do this thing. But I don't really want to sit behind the table anymore. I love going out and shaking hands and, doing that thing that really lights my fire. And I get to build relationships. And so I just locked down another huge team, this week, which is so much fun. It's a massive team. They've used us sporadically here and there. But we through a series of conversations, they're like, we want to put you at the top of our list and really steer as much as we can to you guys. And I'm like, all right, we can do this. And so we figured out like it's another huge team that we just put on lock. But I love that stuff. Like for me, the sales side of things is what really lights my fire. And so I love doing that. And then I realized too, like I really love coaching other businesses. And I've owned 10 different companies in my life. And once you start working for yourself and you figure out, oh, I can do this, you never want to go back, And so you mentioned something earlier where like the home inspector is a great technician. And then they're like, well, I'm going to go try to make my own business, but I don't know how to do the business side of it. Through my journey on coaching other businesses, I've learned that is the case on literally every business. A dentist goes to school. They teach you everything about the tooth and you know how to take care of a tooth. And you're a technician that is a dentist that takes care of a tooth, but you don't know how to run a business. And they don't teach you that in college. They teach you how to take care of the tooth. And then same with orthodontists. Lawyers are the same way. They teach you law and how to handle law and how that works, but they don't teach you how to build a business. And so you can go to law school and pass the bar and be a phenomenal lawyer, but that doesn't mean you know how to run a business. And it's the same with plumbers and electricians and home inspectors and lawyers and dentists and IT people know how to do the code or build the websites, but running the business, people don't learn that stuff in their schools. They're literally a technician that they've learned how to do this. They start to work for themselves and then they have to learn all the other things. And there's really not a great education platform out there other than jumping into a coaching situation or a mastermind group like IEB or hiring a business coach to help you figure this stuff out. There's really no other education platform out there. And that's one of the things I really love about IEB is that it's really inclusive. Every business that I've had, when I jump into an industry mastermind group, every time that business takes off really quickly. And so I think not every industry has great mastermind groups. No. And they really don't. We have something in the inspection industry that most industries don't have. And it's really just a phenomenal thing. And I'm really grateful for it every day. I'm grateful for IEB and the community that's there.
Well, and one of the cool things about IEB is it was developed because there was a home inspector that was like made it through some of the chaos of growth and realized, oh man, everyone else needs to know this. So it wasn't a group that was developed in order to like teach us about the next flashlight or sewer scope. It was developed to teach us the bumps that we're going to come to. So
Yep.
I love that any conversation that I have with an IEB now is very different than it was when I first started, because I was a technician when I first started it, completely lost in the whirlwind, and I didn't know what questions to ask. So it's one of the things I love about IEB too. There's so much grace.
So much.
Years into IEB, I'm just now learning like that next season of questions that I have to ask. And to be honest, you listen way more than you talk in this community, and you will learn 10 times more than you ever thought. So the questions that I ask now are way more developed, will make an impact in my four walls way more than it would have if I didn't just listen. So now I have an accountability partner within IEB whose company is way larger than mine. I have a pod with people that are at the same level. Like these women are higher in their companies. They're at the same level or slightly bigger than me. But then I also have a coach or accountability partner who pours into me and expects impactful results from my opportunities between each time we talk. And that's IEB, which is such a blessing to me. Yeah. You know, one of the things that you said was that like messy middle, and it made me think of a speech. He's back. Here.
He's back. I think I hear him.
Blowing everything off. We're near the end. We're almost there.
Almost there.
One of the things that it made me think about was recently, Matt, you gave a speech and you talked about being forged in the middle, like being forged in the valley. And one of the things, and that doesn't have to be a bad thing, but we often think like, oh God, where am I? You know, this is so messy. I'm so stuck in this tornado of business. And what I think about is it was so difficult. I had so much pressure that I put on myself to get to $1 million revenue, right?
Right.
This huge pressure because the discussion, and we know that once you get like past that point, there's a little more freedom you have because you've learned a lot of messy. Like there's been a lot of forging that you have to get through. So I decided, oh gosh, instead of seeing this chaotic, like messy middle of getting to $1 million, that's where I got to like take this little architect word that I've been holding really tightly to myself and decide, okay, I don't have to wait for $1 million revenue in order to act like $1 million leader. Like I can grow myself in a certain way. And then going back to this event that I went out to, I don't have to look at myself as a vendor because I hate that word. I feel like it's like vending machine. You know, I'm not a vendor. Yeah. I do something different than you do, and we work together. So I had to like, through this forging of myself, I had to realize I'm not a vendor. I'm a visionary partner. Like I have to start using different words. I'm not going to stand behind the booth. I'm going to unapologetically be building relationship with you. So I've had to really stick with that like forging mentality that you brought up, which was brilliant, to have words to like reframe what it is that you're going through. So like in this season, oh gosh, we're in the spring right now, right? And this is where a lot of home inspectors get back into that like chaos or that fear or those like, what are the strategies that we need? Or like, what are the new visionary like systems that we have to come up with? Well, it's not necessarily always about like a new system. Like spring comes every year. Like we know it's coming.
Right. It happens.
So instead of like going into this next season saying, okay, how can I get more business? I found that as I, like just in that season, right? I found that as I entered spring in the past, that's when I got really sick, was like every April, something happened to me where I like had to go to the hospital for some reason. It's like because it was like my body got exhausted. And every year, like 4 years in a row, the month of April came around and I was like, what's going to happen? You know, so instead of facing it that way, I was like, no, something needs to change. So to survive this like busy season, it's really, instead of being reactive and like the hustle of it, I started to be like proactive. So I said, okay, who are the awesome agents that already use us? Like who are the awesome clients that consistently use us? And in this busy season of spring, they're going to be busy as well. So I need to be proactive and nurture those relationships. If I'm going to be that $1 million leader in my own company and have that culture and my own team, I don't want to go out there and chaotically hustle. I want to unapologetically and authoritatively stay in my business and nurture the amazing business that we already have, and ask them, who do you know that's not already using our team that you can introduce me to? How much more ease in those conversations. And then it also allows me to be a good leader in my company and steward the relationships that we already have in this business, which is why we've been doing so well, 30 to 45% up, every single month. Like, to be able to be at that point right now, that's a complete blessing. And that comes from clarity in myself, not chaos. We just do easier, still have the hard work, easier motions every day. And to be unapologetic about that, I think that's pretty stinking freeing. That's pretty awesome.
For sure. And I think the words you use matter, right? Like, I think, so in the very beginning, I was intentional in my own company. It was just me. I answered the phones. I did everything. I was the inspector. I did everything, but I consistently said we. I was like, well, this is how we do it here. This is what we do. And it was literally just me. I was a solopreneur at the time. And I was like, this is what we do. This is how we do this. And who's we? Well, me right now, but by simply changing everything I said is we, and even like, it wasn't Matt, the inspector. It was here at Duke City Inspections. This is what we strive for. This is what and so our mission statement, our vision statement, everything on our website was we, and it was literally just me. But I started with the we, because I knew it was going to be more than just me. And so I remember, even when I'm talking with clients and realtors and brokers and everybody, out at different events or at an inspection. Well, this is how we do it here. This is we. And every once in a while I'd have a broker say, oh, like who else is on your team? And I would smile. And I was like, well, it is just me today. I was like, but we are going to grow a big company. And they would laugh and they'd be like, okay, but what's happened too is now that my business has grown, there's other realtors that have been around long enough, their business has grown. And so we've like cheer each other on, but like we. And so then it's like, yeah, okay. I think language matters. And I think you have to be able to verbalize it. And, and some people will say, well, you like project it or, manifest it or, and if you're a Christian, the Bible says that the power of life and death is in the tongue, which means that what you speak will come true. And so I always have taken that approach. And so I always speak we. And then it's like you said, it's like, well, I'm on my way to $1 million company. It's like, well, when I get there, then I will. It's like, no, man, you got to like be that person and then you get there and you become the person. And then the business follows up with you. And so you kind of got to ask yourself, like, what would $1 million company be doing right now? Would $1 million business owner be dealing with this? No, I think the $1 million business owner would be doing these types of activities. And so then you put yourself into that position, and then pretty soon the company will grow to your capacity. But you got to, the leadership lid is so real. And so you have to be able to like manifest that out. And it's not delusion, it's faith. And it's faith in maybe if you're religious, it's faith in God, but more than anything, it's faith in yourself. And it's faith in what you're building. And it's a faith step of like, okay, it's not delusion, it's faith. And I'm going to start acting and taking steps of faith. And faith is seen and not heard. And faith is one of those things you're taking these blind steps of like, is this even real? I'm not really sure. And it feels like an imposter on the inside, and you feel like but I'm not there yet. But I was like, but nobody else knows you're not there yet. And so, And it's like, yeah. And if you're,
like that's magnetic. So when you show up like that, and
yes.
One thing I want to say to someone listening, and this is like really resonating with you, acting like $1 million business owner doesn't mean putting all the people in place in your business too soon. That's like a financial nightmare. Don't do that. But when your posture is that $1 million business owner, that's a mental thing for you. That's a posture thing for you. That is you. Even if you're a single man shop, that is your decision, not like people in place in your business. Oh, $1 million home inspection company has a bookkeeper. Well, you might have to be the bookkeeper for a season, and that's okay.
Yes.
So that's one thing. And then the other thing I have to say about that is I was I still am. I am shocked at how many real estate agents in the industry don't have that mindset. They don't read the books that we read. They don't have
Right.
the like uplifting what do we call ourselves in IEB? We're abundance mindset. They don't have that. They don't have the people
Right.
around themselves that like are constantly empowering them and pouring into them, or this like intentional coaching, the verbiage that we have in IEB. And they don't read. That just blows my mind. So anyway, when I do talk to agents that are top producing and also don't have that circle around them, now I'm that person that brings like that ignition to them. Or, oh my gosh, you have to read this book that I'm reading right now. And I like give it to them. It might be their tool to get even bigger mentally, financially, you know, their business to be impacted because of it, because they have hustled this whole time. And now I might be opening something really awesome for them that they never knew existed. And it came from a book that I gave them, you know? So I think having the posture of that leader that wants to lead that company that size one day when it gets to that size, that it attracts the people that you want to be surrounded with anyway. And if I'm spending the majority of my day with real estate professionals, I want to impact them. So I love that. And it's just your posture. That's all it is.
That's all it is. It's a mentality. It's a posture. It's just how you carry yourself. Absolutely. And I had a mentor tell me this a while back about, he gave me this analogy of this tree. And he said, so many people are chasing the fruit of the tree. And they're chasing the apples, they're chasing the oranges, they're chasing what comes off of the tree. And you see this all over social media. People, you know, they glorify the private jets or the Lamborghinis, or they glorify the designer purses or the fashion, or they glorify the trips, and they glorify the fruit, whatever fruit it is that is attractive to you. And people are chasing the fruit of the tree. And this guy who's incredibly wealthy, and he says many years ago, he says, I realized that I'm not going to chase the fruit of the tree. I don't need to build the branches of the tree. All I need to do is feed the roots of the tree. And if I feed the roots of the tree, I will have more fruit coming off of this tree than I could ever want. And so I started thinking about that. This is many years ago. And I started thinking about this and started working on this. And so in my own business, I understand what the fruit looks like. But I don't talk about how much money we're making. I don't talk about like the profit. I don't talk about, you know, all that stuff. What I work on is the root system. And it's like, as we're focusing on, and that again is a posture thing. Are you $1 million company yet? No, but you better start feeding the roots of your business as if it's $1 million company. And if you start building the branches, start hiring the staff, of $1 million tree before, the tree's going to fall over because you haven't built the roots. And so you build the roots with your posture, with your words, with your culture. And all of a sudden you end up in this place where I'm not chasing money anymore. Money chases me because I've been building the roots of this thing for so long. I don't think about the fruit. The fruit is just falling off the tree around me, and it's everywhere that I start to look. And that abundance mindset is what kicks in. And so, feed the root, not the fruit. Stop chasing the fruit. Just start feeding the roots. And that starts in the very, very beginning of your business. And like you're saying with the whole $1 million mindset, you know, you just get your mindset there. And then it's the same thing. And no matter what milestone you're looking at, it's like change your mindset and start thinking, force yourself to think away. As a man thinketh, right? There's a book out there called As a Man Thinketh that's phenomenal. And so you change your mindset and start thinking the right way. You start feeding the roots the right way. And then all of a sudden, the tree starts growing in the direction you want it to grow.
Bah.
Mic drop.
Matt Williams. That's good.
Yep. Yeah. And so anyhow, that tree analogy has stuck with me for most of my life. And so it's just so true in every business and anything in life. You know, it's like with marriage, it's like with parenting, it's like with everything else. And so when you really focus on the roots, you start getting the results of what you want. And if you're always chasing the fruit, you'll never actually get what you want.
No.
And you'll always look at somebody else's tree and go like, their fruit's better. And you get jealous and you get comparison trap and you get all these different things and you get stuck. And it's like, no, just focus on your roots and just watch what's going to happen. Yeah. And so, that's so good. That's so good. Well, this has been like a great episode. Like, thank you for taking the time. And we had your landscaper on, like, you know, briefly. Yeah, that was great. We had an extra guest on the show.
Matters, right? Yeah,
I think that's
I will chat with you anytime, sir. There's so much to talk about when it
for
comes to
sure.
business and family and relationships and
Yeah.
your goals. I will do this anytime. Thank you, sir.
I love that. Yeah. I'd love having you on here. If someone wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Jaymie Paternoster, anywhere on social media.
Okay.
Jaymie at elevatemichigan.com.
Okay.
I'm all over.
All right. That sounds great. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. And I can't wait to catch you on another episode.
Yeah. Thank you, Matt.
Okay.